I'm Christopher Carson. I run by Chris Carson. I'm an upcycling fashion designer. And I also have like a community initiative called the Homegrown Project, where we do pop-up fashion shows and democratize fashion by just allowing people to come to these fashion shows, express themselves, but also like show that sustainability is important and that we need to make a change to how we dress and what we decide to put our energy and money towards. So
I love it.
Yeah, just all to help the planet and build community. So
I love
here
it.
we are.
I feel like because they make it look so easy, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, I could do that. But I feel like that's how, like, when they watch your videos, they're probably like, I could sew like that too.
Dude. It's just a crochet blanket and a hoodie. How hard could it be?
Yeah. And he's just making a hoodie. Why do they charge that much? He's only making a hoodie.
Like, come on. She puts a Loka patch on a.
It's not that hard.
It's not that hard. On a flannel, dude?
Yeah.
I got a flannel.
It's not that hard.
I could do that in my sleep.
Yeah. You're like this. Please do.
Please.
Make money while you sleep.
Be my guest.
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is, you know? Do you ever get people that say that?
That is like, it's so easy?
Or that you make it look easy, or that or like that, you know, where you're just kind of like, you're like, I feel devalued right now, you know?
Yes. And it's funny because, you know, like, there's almost that disconnect because you do this so often. It's like easy. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. But then when I think about it, this is someone that's never really sewed. Yeah. And just to explain it, they're just going to lose you at like, oh, you have the presser foot in the bobbin. And you're like, oh, okay, stop.
Yeah.
Say it in English, please.
Yeah.
I don't know what you just said.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
It's so funny because
all the time.
Anytime that like I'm teaching people how to sew, I'm like, you are gonna learn all the fancy words, and then you can impress your friends.
Absolutely.
And they're like, what? And so I'm like, you're gonna learn about like a freaking, you know, like a sewing foot and a bobbin and notches, and then they're like, what, notches?
Yo, dude.
I've never heard about that, and it makes you sound like you know what you're talking about. We're professionals.
You really are.
You're like
making it work.
Exactly.
You know, making it work. Gotta do what you gotta do.
You're like, this is how we do it.
Absolutely.
If you don't know the lingo, then
you're not gonna make it really.
Exactly.
Far. Really
you can't communicate. You're stuck.
Now, how do you take the thingy and put the thing? Yeah.
The thing and the thing of the thing.
Of the thing.
Exactly.
But then you have a thing.
Past the thing, and you're like, which one of the million things?
The things that you're talking about. This is an intricate mission. I need you to be specific here, please.
Exactly. That's why I feel like, you know, obviously it's important to know the proper names for it, but I feel like the reason why I was asking you, right, about like what it was like if people like saw what you were doing and then all of a sudden were like, I could do that, you know, because it's like you do like pop-ups and, you know, things like that. So it's like, do you ever feel like people feel that way? Because I've talked to other creatives, right, especially creatives that sew, because I guess, you know, that value, right, where it's like we could easily go to like Ross and get like something for really, really inexpensive, right? And then you're making it and doing it and all that kind of stuff. And then they're like, but why do you charge that? And so it's like really wanting to like, especially someone that is doing like something similar that we do, like wanting to like really like hear like your input about that, because it is, you know, is it only happening to me? I'm like, am I being ousted out? I'm like, are they like singling me out?
Is Ashton Kutcher or something? Am I getting punked right now? I'm getting this all the time. Seriously, no. It's never happened to me. Yeah. No, I'm playing it.
I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, it's kind of like how clothes have been marketed to us for so long. You know, like you almost get detached to. You never like with fashion. There's this transparency wall. You know, they're just pumping out collections, but you never see how it's made, who's making it, what conditions they're in. So it's all part of the marketing, you know, just to make you have it, want more. And they're pumping out collections so fast. Like people are desensitized to what it takes to make even like a button-up shirt. Like it takes a lot of intricate measurements. There's a lot of math involved, trying to figure out different body types and things like that. So people are desensitized to the process, and then they look at you and say like, oh, like, you know, you might have made it, but I'm pretty sure, you know, it probably didn't take you that long, and how much time and having to push through and all the intricate pieces of it, even to make it last, you know, there's a lot of technique behind that too.
For sure.
Yeah, I think and I think what we're doing is just like really changing culture, like people having a connection to clothes.
For sure.
If we even go back to indigenous culture, like everything was handmade. The clothes had a meaning. You know, there were ceremonies where you were adorned with different garments and things like that.
Yeah.
So kind of like bringing that feel back to it and creating a new culture behind our clothes. Yeah.
Which is good because it's like a lot of people think about it like in the way of like, this person does something similar that you do, right? So it's like, and a lot of people, I've heard people where they're like, oh my God, why would I like support that person if they are my competition, right? And so I never see things like that, right? Where it's like that person's like my competition or things like that, right? I'm more like, hey, you know what? Like the only competition is myself, and like really like creating like those like being dedicated, committed, like, you know, all those kind of things for myself better than I was doing yesterday, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel that it's like, it's really important to create like that kind of like that circle and like that, you know, that communal feeling within like something like so big as like creating like a culture change, creating like, you know, just like a different view of like how people are gonna like see clothes and, you know, how it became like a throwaway culture, like, you know, things like that. And it's good to change that narrative, and it's really difficult to do it by yourself. It really has to be like a movement, and obviously like strengthening that movement, you know, which is one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on the podcast, you know, because I was like, oh, that'd be cool to kind of like, you know, it's like there's more of us.
It's not just me, there's other
there's
people
more
doing
of us, you know, which is cool because it's like then you know, you're understanding that this isn't just like some person's like wild, like this is like, it is happening. There's other people that are doing this kind of thing, and it's cool because it's like it's strengthening the movement of what we want, right? And changing that narrative. So
absolutely,
which is cool. I like it.
And that's what, and it's power in numbers, you know. If we're like, because I'm not gonna lie, I was super nervous to meet you. I don't know why. I think maybe I was like super excited, but I don't know. In my eyes, you're like a celebrity, so I'm just
oh my God, I'm just a normal person.
But on Instagram, I'm like, oh my God, still looking like, don't bother.
No.
But no, I just like, I really appreciate you like opening up the doors and like, shout out Giselle. You know, I gotta shout her out. That's my best friend, but she pushed me to talk to you, and now we're here. But awesome. I think it's awesome. Like you inspire me with everything that you do, and just how far you can take it, and like, and I think this, what you were saying, is super important. Like community, and then just showing people like, hey, like this is the reality of what's going on, and this is how you can contribute.
Exactly.
I think people are tired of hearing facts about how bad it is, and really want to see like, all right, this looks cool, and I'm helping the planet.
For sure. And I think that like, you know, even with like the SB 707 bill that passed, right, where they were like, this is like gonna change everything, and it's like, and then you kind of like start to break it down, and you're like, how though? Because it's like, you know, so, which is still good. It's still good, you know, because it's like we're having those kind of conversations and we're doing that kind of stuff. But it's like the reality is that it's like it all starts with really small changes, and people think that they really have to do like this wild, like, you know, whole life change, you know, which it doesn't have to be that way. It's like there are little tiny changes that you could do to like really, you know, get out of that, like, and most people, well, I guess most people that I talk to are like more in that thrifting and stuff like that. And so then I'm like, cool, you know, so which is a good thing. But even then, it's like, because there's still a huge population that is still buying a lot of mass-produced goods, it ends up, we're just fueling like another cycle, which, you know, at the same time, you're just kind of like, oh, fuck, we're like, stop somewhere, you know, but,
dude,
I mean,
like
people are, I feel like you know, people are having more and doing better conscious, you know, making better conscious decisions, I feel, you know, which is good, you know, and I feel like people genuinely do want to learn how to fix their stuff and that kind of thing. And so I think there is a lot of people that are seeing the effects of what's happening, and they're just kind of like, it's kind of hard to ignore.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's like really in your face, and it's gonna get to a point, you know, if you know, hopefully things change, but if they don't, you know, it's gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to make those drastic decisions where, oh, we can't use any polyester. I have to buy like all compostable, like trash bags, or I can't use plastic and things like that. Like, we're definitely headed there. I don't know if it might be in our lifetime, might not, but got to do something now.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, how did you kind of, because I mean, you have the skills.
Yeah.
But you're like focused on sustainability. Like, what kind of inspired you
to get into that?
To get into that. Yeah.
Well, like, I'm one of 6 kids, and so we never had like a back to school like shopping.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's like there was like a lot of us, and it's like we never had that. So my mom would just, there was a Salvation Army across the street from our house, on like this main street, and so my mom's always been into deals. She's a fucking hoarder.
Coupons?
Yes. Yeah. I don't think she uses coupons. She's just kind of like, she'll be like, ooh, a yard sale? I'll buy it all. And she has. And I'm like, whoa.
No regrets.
And I'm like, lady, where are you putting it? She's like, I have a whole garage. Let's pack it. And you're just like,
we don't need a car in there.
Yeah, no cars. It's a 2-car garage. No cars. Just junk. You know? So you're like, okay. But it's cool that she's always been like in that deal, and like she's always learned how to like stretch her dollar and like work with like nothing and be like super resourceful. So she would basically be like, let's go to the thrift store, and I would be like, sure. And so they had like all kinds of like, you know, golfing grandpa pants, and you know, they were plaid. So I was like, oh shit, like I kind of saw like visions, right, where I was like, these could be like plaid, like punk pants if I like, you know, like make them skinnier and, you know, these kind of things. And so I was like, how would I do that? Wow. And so, you know, just kind of like I've always been like about like building things and like puzzles and stuff. And so I was like, ooh, that would be fun. And so I feel like it was mainly out of necessity, you know, because it's like we didn't have a lot. And so if you... And, like, I never felt like I could actually ask my parents, like, hey, can I have, you know, like, they were definitely going to be like, no. Because there's 6 of us, and so I've never been to, like, the movies, all of us together, you know, because it's like, how do you afford that? Like, that's a lot of people, you know, so just a little
popcorn
I know. Snacks. I'm like, then we could eat, too, you know, so it was one of those things where it was more out of, like, I definitely, like, I don't think I ever saw myself in like spaces like this, right? Or like with this life or anything like that, or like in an, like, I guess like in an educational setting, because it's like I never knew people that looked like me that were in those spaces, and so for me, like, I was just kind of like, you know, but I did think that, like, I was like, well, like, I would love to, like, I got really, like, creative with, like, cutting up my clothes and then sewing it, and, you know, and, like, all my friends, you know, were all in the punk scene, so I would, like, sew their patches and, like, you know, just, you know, it was very DIY, and it was, like, so much fun, and so I liked it, and, you know, I was like, ooh, we're gonna go to a party, I'm gonna make an outfit, you know, and so things like that you're just kind of like, this is, like, fun, you know, but I never thought that was gonna end up being like my career, which is crazy, you know. And so it's interesting because I don't know, you never know what's gonna happen, you know. You're just like, wow. But
I'm here now.
I know. I'm like, how did I get here? Time travel.
I went in the hot tub and now I'm here. How?
It's like, oh my God. What year is this?
What happened? 2025.
I'm like, I was just 1985.
Kicking it, you know?
No, it's like, wow. Yeah. Well, how did you get into the sustainable world?
Man, so a similar story.
Yeah.
But a bit of some plot twist here and there.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, my parents would take us to it. There's a spot called Gabriel Brothers.
Yeah.
Huge ass warehouse, and there was nothing but like
here.
Oh no, it was in Ohio. My bad. Let me take you back to Ohio. Yeah, Midwest.
Are you from Ohio?
Yeah, I'm from Cleveland.
Shit,
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, Midwest kid, you know. But so like also my parents didn't have much, so we would go to this spot called Gabriel Brothers, which was like Salvation Army, and there was just nothing but like kind of like returned clothes or like things that didn't sell in stores. So it was like a playground for me. I would just like sift through all types of stuff. I would try to like get like Coogee and Jabot jeans to like be like the freshest kid in my class because like you know there was like a status, you know, if you had the freshest clothes, you know, you're getting the most attention. So for sure, it was like I didn't realize it, but every day was like, all right, I gotta show up because there's gonna be like eyes on me. It's almost like a fashion show, you know. So for sure, I like subconsciously loved fashion, but I didn't really like know it. And fast forward to 2020, I moved to California like 2017. Yeah. And I got like sick, and I don't know why. Like I always felt like I belonged in California, so I just took a leap of faith, moved in with my friend in the Bay Area, and it was just like living in California, living the dream. But I got sick, and I didn't know why. So it took like 3 years of me like not knowing what was wrong with me. I took like over 70 blood tests, over 100 really, and it was all. And doctors didn't know what was going on, and I was in a really dark place. So to get through it, I just started doing art. I started painting, and then it led to tie-dye because I would just wear tie-dye shirts all the time. I love that. Love tie-dye. So I learned how to do it. And my cousin, he had a clothing brand, and he was like, hey, we should collab on a shirt. So I was like, all right, bet. So we did a tie-dye shirt, and then we were doing the photo shoot for it. And the photographer's husband also, I told him like how I was like sick and everything, and I didn't know what was going on with me. And he was like, dude, you might have Lyme disease. And I was like, whoa, like, what is that? And he has Lyme disease. So he was like immediately like, dude, you need to go see my specialist. Doctors are going to tell you what's going on. Like I took a blood antibody test. I had 4 traces of Lyme. Oh, shit. Yeah. And it's like cancer. If you have any traces of it, you have it. But doctors were telling me, oh, you have to have 5 antibodies. And I was literally 1 away from getting like treatment. So they denied me and tried to say it was fibromyalgia or something in my muscles, and that wasn't the case. So I saw his specialist. She got me on a treatment program, and I'm like, damn. Yeah. So it was a wild 6-year battle, and it was very scary. I was not in the best place, but like sewing and art like saved my life because a friend of mine, she let me borrow her sewing machine. I was sewing tags on my shirts, and my parents, they made fun of me because my favorite pair of jeans, they had tie-dye all over them. And then my parents were like, oh, you're not going to meet Miss Carson wearing stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I'll show you. So I went to Goodwill, got decorative napkins and scrap fabrics, made it into like some cool like camo pants. And then I started getting compliments, and I was like, oh, maybe we're onto something right here. Like maybe we should keep doing this. And then I just kept going, and now here we are. That's awesome. And I never like envisioned this in my life. Like not at all, but it's fulfilled me so much. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Really I love grateful. It. Yeah. Parents are like the best at humbling you, you know? Oh my God, dude. They do not. They tell you everything that's on their mind right when they hear it. I'm like, dude, like ease up a little bit, please. It's so funny. I go back home and, you know, my mom, like, you know, she'll be making something to eat. Mm-hmm. And Manny would be like, oh my God, look how good it looks. Delicious. And, you know, and he'll like take a picture or like film it, and she's like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, oh, just showing everyone how good this food looks, you know, because it's like I don't have it often, you know. And then she's like, don't put me on Facebook. And I'm like, we're not even on Facebook. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is like, we're not even out there, you know. So she's like, okay. But it's like so funny. She's like, she'll like cut you down so quick. And I'm like, I thought it was a big deal in San Diego. My mom doesn't think I'm shit. But they are really like quick to like, you know, you're like, humble you so quick. You're so like, oh. Thanks ease for the up. Confidence. Yeah. Ease up, please. I know, yeah. It's like, that's why you have thick skin, you know? I'm like, I'm not raising no little bitch. Yes, Mom, yes. I'm not a little
Don't
bitch.
cry.
Bro, let me tell you my advice my dad gave me. He said, don't cry, suck it up. And if someone hits you, get a brick.
Get a brick?
Get a brick.
Oh. Damn.
Anybody mess with you, you get a brick.
Get a brick.
Yes. I'll pick you up and I'll say it's my fault, but you go get that brick.
Get that brick.
It was rough. Was rough. I was like, who hurt you, Dad? Why do you know?
I like the sequence of it, though.
Yeah.
You know? Like, suck it up.
Suck it up, and you get a brick.
Yeah, get a brick. You're like, fine.
Fine, Dad, fine. So never got into a fight. Didn't have to get that brick, but yeah.
I like it.
Thank
That's
goodness.
good. That's good.
Yeah.
It's like when you do think about like a fight, right? Like a physical fight, you're just kind of like, wow, like what? Why are people so upset right now? You know?
Dude, that's exactly what goes to my head. I'm just like, right before it escalates, I'm like, hey, what's your favorite TV show though? Let's get to some commonality
exactly.
here.
Do you guys like pizza?
You guys pepperoni?
Tacos?
Am I right?
We gotta love tacos.
Shrimp tacos, am I right?
I know. We're all Mexican here. We all like tacos.
We all like tacos, right? Okay, let's just.
Because if one of the people doesn't, then you're like, oh, you're seeing a little like, oh.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's
we all like fucking tacos here, right? Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Maybe we can start there and let's de-escalate
nachos
the situation.
Too?
Hello? Extra cheese?
Exactly.
Huh? Am I right?
Well, the division starts with movies. You're like, oh, okay, you like that kind of genre. Oh,
controversial opinion. I don't.
Ew.
Really? You seen the whole series?
I know. You're like, what a waste of time. That's like 12 hours.
12 hours gone.
In a day?
You're never getting that back.
I know. Did you take bathroom breaks?
Straight through? Oh,
wow.
You dressed up?
Yeah,
oh.
I know. You were wearing Depends, huh?
Committed. I was wondering what that smell was.
I have a committed story.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Yes,
and it does involve Depends, too.
Thank you for the disclaimer. First
For the love of art.
For the love of art.
For the love of art.
Let's do this. Okay.
So, and you're going to have to share one of yours.
You're
like, oh, fuck. Of commitment. Like,
okay.
So, I was invited to be a part of an art show, and I was like, fuck yeah. And so I wanted to create like an outfit, but like, you know, I feel like at that time, like I still didn't have someone that I could ask, like, hey, could you be a model for this thing? And it was going to be a big ask because you were going to have to stand there for 5 hours. And so I'm like, oh, that's asking for a lot from someone. And so I'm like, I should do it myself. And so I created like this outfit. And it was like very Lee Bowery inspired. So it's like your whole face is covered and your hands are covered. And like everything's covered in like that same like fabric, right? And so I was like, oh, it's going to be cool. And so I was like, I don't know if I could get out of this outfit by myself. You know, you can't pull it up and you can't pull it down. So then I'm like, fuck. And like,
oh, no.
I don't, like, someone's gonna, like, I'm gonna go in the bathroom and then someone's gonna be like, what the, you know, and they're not gonna want to help me zip down or zip up. So I was like, I'm gonna have to wear Depends. And so I actually did.
No way.
But I didn't have to use
Thank
them.
Lord.
It was just to like, just in case. And it was just like, you know, I think you could laugh about it now. But I was like, wow. But it's good.
That's deep.
There's also growth.
Yeah.
Because now I could ask people, like, would you help me? And I don't have to wear Depends.
That's a bar.
So there's growth, you know.
Look
like,
at how the full circle. Look
exactly.
at, you see that circle?
Now I'm like,
you see that circle?
I've learned how to just, you know,
ask for
how to ask for help, and like, you know, and before I didn't have, you know, that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I
That's
stopped drinking water 5 hours before the event, and I totally Girl Scouted it. I was like, okay, around the sun goes down, it looks like this around that time. So when I looked outside, I was like, it must be 5 o'clock. I got 1 more hour to go. And I was like, piece of cake. So
easy.
I know, I was like, done, and done.
Yo.
And yeah. So I was like, I felt like accomplished, you know?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
I was like, I knew how to tell time by the sun, you know? But also, like, I didn't have to ask anyone for help, which seems like a very toxic trait at the time. Yeah. Now I could ask people for help, and I feel like I'm more, you know, open to, like, you know. Yeah. I don't have trust. I'm working on my trust issues.
Yeah. They're major.
Yeah. I'm flexing the muscle. You know, I'm like, yeah, I trust people again.
I can do this.
I know. I'm like, yeah, you came through for me. Thank you.
Bro, it's hard, man. Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
That's actually, I'm working through that right now. Because do you feel like it's a perfectionist thing? Like, you feel like if you don't do it, it's not going to get done right? Because I get that sometimes.
Yes, I feel like I really would not classify myself as a perfectionist at all. Like, I'll be like, that's good. And, like, I don't overthink it like that. But, yes, I do feel that, you know.
Yeah.
But sometimes for me, I'm like, because I do get a lot of people that come in and they're like, I want to learn how to sew. And then they ask specific questions, which I'm like, this person's a perfectionist. And so then I'm like, you know, I kind of get next to them and I'm like, are you a perfectionist? And then they're like, yeah. And I'm like, I could tell. And so they're like,
they brought their protractor out to make sure the angle's right.
They're like, does this have to be perfect? And you're like, no, girl, have you ever sewn before? They're like, never. And you're like, how are you putting such a high standard on yourself, you know? And so that's where I could kind of figure out that they're very, which is it could be good. It could be really good. But if it's, you know, stopping you from even starting, then that's where we want to interject, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, don't overthink it. Like, let's just keep moving. If it's not perfect, I know keep you up at night, but for the sake of the class, let's keep going, you know?
Yeah, waking up at 3 a.m. like, oh, the third stitch, I gotta fix it.
That fucking third stitch.
God damn it.
That jacket's still haunting
you
from like
sitting there.
10 years. You're like, is he still alive?
I'm scared to open the closet.
It's like there.
Oh, yeah. I get that with my old work sometimes. Like, I put on these pants today, and I was like, damn, bro, there's so much I messed up. But it works. But, you're
the only one that knows.
That's a fact.
So.
That would be crazy if someone knew.
I always, like, tell people, right? I'm always like, you know, because it's like, if you start to dissect your own stuff, and you're like, well, this thing right here, and then this thing. And so it's like, if you really, you get into like a weird space of like over criticizing yourself, and that could sometimes lead to like, well, I'm not good, so I shouldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, like the reality is that most people don't do it, and the fact that you're taking like the courage to actually do it, I mean, good for you.
Big time.
You know, and it's never going to be perfect, and there's always going to be like growth.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Absolutely,
you know?
absolutely.
And I feel like so I found like a tote that I made a long time ago. I think it was like one of the first totes that I had made, and like I look at it now and I'm like, huh. And it doesn't look like bad, but just like I guess the fabrics that I pick to create it, and like just little things like that where I'm like, interesting, okay, you know, and it really doesn't look bad, but but it's cool to kind of like see like your growth, and like decide like what new stitches to use now, and like just all of that kind of stuff. And I love having things like that. They're good reminders of like how much you've actually grown.
Man,
you know?
Yeah, that part is crucial. Like just taking a step back to reflect. You know, it's so important. You know, because I feel like I get this a lot where I just like keep honing in on the future, what we got to do next, but like just taking a step back and be like, hey, I've made it through a lot just to get here, and maybe we take some time to celebrate it, maybe get a little relaxation, but just like taking into account like I'm here, I'm doing it, and I'm still doing it.
Exactly.
You know, not everyone gets that opportunity. So
for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely right there with you where it's like a lot of the times for me I never feel like I really take the time to celebrate my wins. And like, it kind of sucks, you know? It makes me feel like some kind of way where I'm like, I did all that fucking shit, and like, everyone does celebrate me, and I'm really fortunate for that. But it's like, I don't even celebrate myself, and that makes me feel like shit, you know? Because then you're just kind of like, no one's gonna love you the way that you love yourself, exactly, right? And so it's like, how come I'm not like, you know, like, you that bitch, you know?
You the motherfucking queen of this.
I'm like, you know, I'm like, girl, what the fuck? You know, like, come on,
How do you not know this?
Yeah, like, you're not gonna buy yourself that cappuccino?
You deserve it.
I know, and more. You know, 2 eyeliners. You're like,
and a croissant.
And a croissant.
Yeah, wash it all down.
Thank you. But it's like, yeah, I'm like, I feel like sometimes I don't take the opportunity to like really like just basically be like, wow, you did that, like you should. And I feel like maybe I haven't like figured out like my celebration style, because it's like I'm not a gift giver. Like, I guess I'm not like, well, not a gift giver. Like, I'm not like the kind of person where it's like my love language is receiving gifts. So it's like, I guess for me, like, if I gave myself something, I'm not like impressed by me giving myself something. I'm more like, my love language is quality time. So it's like, how do I do that for myself? You know? So I guess I haven't figured out like how I should celebrate myself in the way that like I would want to be celebrated, you know? So especially for myself, because it's like, it's kind of like taking that time to basically be like, you did it. Tap in the back.
Good job. Good job. Number 1 fan.
Yeah, number 1 fan. I'm wearing my own hat.
Yeah.
I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like,
look at you go. Yeah, you.
You did it.
No, I'm talking about you.
I always feel like when I say you did it, then Dora comes on in the background. You did it. You did it. You did it. Yeah. And then people are like,
she okay.
Yeah. They're like, wow. Really, I'm like, if you can't laugh at yourself,
what do you know the rest.
Life.
We know the rest. Yeah.
I'm like, dude.
Someone clarify that.
I know. I'm like, someone tell me, because I didn't get the memo on that one. But yeah, it's. Yeah. I feel like it is like, one of those things where, that taking that time to like really self-reflect and because it's like, you're doing like a lot, and
a ton, and it's almost it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think like. It's so crazy we said all this because I was like kind of struggling with this right after our pop-up fashion show.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, what's next? Because everything just died down. And I was like, all right, the videos are out, people posting pictures, the reactions are in. And then I'm just like, all right. And then you're stuck with yourself. And I'm just like, all right, what do I got to do next?
Yeah.
And then I'm just sitting here like, bro, I'm exhausted. I'm really tired. So like I took some time off, was just traveling a little bit, but I just realized, like, man, like, maybe I don't always have to be doing something.
Yeah.
Maybe it's okay to, like, hey, catch up with fam. Hey, catch up with some friends.
For sure.
Like, I think, like, especially with social media, you just feel like you always got to do something. But I'm, like, realizing, like, you know what? Do things on your own time and come back around when you're ready because you have a lot more energy and more creative, like, fervor. So I think people feel that, too.
Yeah. I'm right there with you where it's, like, after, like... doing like a whole ass install and then Chicano Park Day. And then like I taught like 3 classes within like 4 hours at like the museum. So I was like, and you're on, you have to be on, you have to be patient, you have to be, and so it's like, you're just like so fried, I'm like,
you don't have one brain cell to spare.
But it's like, and like, I feel like one of the ways that like, I love regenerating myself is like looking the bummiest. I swear, I'm like, you know what? I'll wear like, yesterday I wore like a hat.
Yes.
And then like a big t-shirt.
No Loka, nothing on it. Just like, pedestrian for the day.
But it's like, at the same time, I was like, I like not wearing any makeup when I do that, and just kind of like, I don't know, it just makes me feel really good to just basically not have to like dedicate like a day to basically be like, someone's got to see me and I got to have eyebrows on.
Makeup like, done, hair did.
You're like this, you're like,
bro,
she didn't have eyebrows. She's hideous.
Who is that?
I know.
Who is that?
She looked like a scared rat.
Not a scared rat.
There's a little eyebrow there.
If you look really closely, you're not looking hard enough. It's there, all right?
There, you know.
Screw you,
but
all right?
It you know,
it's
I
liberating.
feel like that is like my like vacation mode.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You just don't want to run into anyone. They're like, you know, but it's okay.
Oh God, who's that?
I know they're like, I didn't know that was you.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That was me.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's me.
Behind the, it's a disguise. Yeah,
it's a disguise, you know.
Day off.
You look disheveled. You're trying to give it like a wiggy look. I'm like, you look like that all the time. But
like try your best not to be recognized. Like I feel like it's a fun game. It's a fun game. It's a really fun game.
You're like, I'm not me.
So who? What are you talking about?
You're like, you know, which
my name's
I know.
My name's Frank. I don't know who you're talking about.
I don't know her.
I don't know. My name is Claudine.
I know. Right. Yeah. I'm the alter ego.
Alter ego.
I'm the villain. They're like, oh shit.
Oh God.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God.
I like fast fashion. Oh God.
Yeah. I know. You're like, I have fast fashion brand.
Look at my polyester outfit.
I use plastic.
Can't stop, won't stop.
They're like, oh my God.
She's gonna destroy the planet.
Single-use plastic for life. They're like,
oh my gosh. No.
It's like a character
That's
that
hilarious.
Captain Planet comes and fights.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You got a bunch of like plastic forks around you. You could like just throw them. Like, hey, take that, Captain Planet.
Yeah,
you
he's
can't
like,
stop me.
Excuse me. But he's like, hey.
That's funny.
How did you're like?
How do we start? Like, where are we going?
Yeah. No. How did you like? Have you ever like taken like a sewing lesson? Are you self-taught? Like, how did you? Are you just kind of like exploring it, and you're just kind of like? Because I mean, I think that's like the best way to do it. But
yeah, like I never went to school for this. I studied finance in school because I just wanted to make money. I'll be honest, like I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life.
For sure, yeah.
I was like, my mom's in banking, my dad's an entrepreneur. So I was like, all right, let me just learn how to make money. But I got like my dream internship, and I was depressed, and I was like, all right, this isn't it. So that's why I've always like I pivoted from there to like really go into like creative outlets. And I just learned through YouTube University.
That's cool.
Yeah. I remember my first YouTube video. It was like some white guy with a beard, and he was like, "This is how you reverse stitch. You always want to do that before you start, and you're just gonna go straight down." And then from there, I just got obsessed. And it was just kind of crazy because I was just like, "Oh man, there's zigzag stitches, there's buttonhole stitches, there's all these different machines. Like, let me see what's the best one." And I found my first sewing machine at a estate sale.
No way.
Yeah.
I love it.
It was so, I don't know, the universe is crazy, but it was like I was on someone told me about estatesale.com because I was obsessed with thrifting. And then I downloaded the app, and the first estate sale I look at, there's a Bernina at 930.
Wow.
And I was like, mate, I just looked at it and I was like, I gotta have it. And I looked into it and it was like rave reviews, you could do everything on it. So I was like, I have to get this machine.
Berninas are beautiful.
I love Berninas. They're amazing.
Can we get a sponsorship from Bernina?
Yeah, Bernina, if you're listening, if you're out there, please come to San Diego.
These could all be Berninas.
Can we pan? We can't pan right now, but there's nothing but brothers.
Exactly. But we want Berninas.
We want Berninas.
And if brother wants to be sponsors, we'll take off the little sticker off, okay?
We'll change it. We'll change it if we have to. But
we covered the brother thing. We're like, they don't pay us.
They do not. They're great machines, but it would be better
Exactly.
Put some money up, please.
Exactly.
Please.
Exactly.
But shout out to Bernina.
Bernina. Yeah.
Not today's sponsor, but shout out Bernina.
Yeah, you could be. On today's episodes of Skills Pay Bills.
Click the link in the bio.
Bernina sponsors
us. Here's how we did it.
Exactly. Look at how cool we are. Did you see our outfits?
Made by Bernina.
Exactly.
What's up?
Clink. Hey, add the little clinking sound here.
Manny.
He's like, done.
Clink, clink.
I know, exactly. Our own side effects.
Clink. Alright, but yeah, that's how it was.
Dude, so you got a Bernina.
A Bernina, and it was in a dirty little, like, wooden cabinet. It was like one of those ones that, like, has the conveyor belt. I mean, the elevator thing.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, all right, I have to get this thing. And I pulled up to the guy, and I gave him an offer. And they said, oh, we're going to wait a little bit. And then I met the owner who actually owns all this stuff. And he was like, oh, no, I'll let you go. I'll let it go for that price.
Yeah.
And shout out to the community, because my really good friend, Bolo, that's his DJ name. But I couldn't fit it in my little Prius. So he pulled his truck up, got the sewing machine, dropped it off at my crib. And yeah, man, rolled it in my crib and then started sewing, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Because I just never thought I'd be doing this. So here we are.
It's like so fun when you have access to something that you could do all night.
Yes.
That sounds weird, but.
But when you say it, it's like, yeah, like there's really no barriers. You just need the sewing machine and some fabric and you just go.
And then you can make anything.
Yeah, that's like, almost the overwhelming part.
Anything, you're like, wow.
Yeah.
And I feel like the excitement behind like, oh, you have now something that you could, if you wanted to sew all night or like, I feel like, you know, someone said this to me yesterday and I was like, oh my God, I love that. We do like a free sewing group thing at like the Paradise Hills library, you know? And so we're like, dude, it's like so freaking, you know, it's like a really cool place and there's like a lot of people that show up for it, you know? And so it's cool and like we're working on like a tote, like a denim tote from their pants and stuff. And so I was like, hey, so how's it going? And he's like, I love that it's every Monday and like I take a week off and then I'm like reflecting on like the stitching responding to it this way and then this responding to that way. And then your brain starts to almost like, whoa, if I did this, what is it gonna do? You know? So it's like, it's so beautiful to like have that excitement of like, well, I have to be by it now and see what it's gonna do, you know? And there is like that feeling of like, oh, this is so cool, you know? So
it's so dope. You make something out of nothing, you know? Like, and man, I wonder if you feel this way too. Like when you're sitting and making something, it's like you're making a kid. You know, like you're spending time with it, you're raising it. Yeah. You're fixing it, you're fixing it up a little bit so it's ready for the world. And then it's always when it comes down to someone really likes it and they want to pay for it, you're just like,
You're like, okay. Fine. You're like,
give me 2 years. Give me 2 years with it. Like, it's a newborn, please.
I still haven't. It's not ready to wean off.
It's not time. It's not time.
You know what? Please. It's so interesting because it's like my dad. Like I truly do feel that my dad bred me to be like an entrepreneur, or at least gave me like that, like you know, the exposure of like, look, you could do it all, and like you know, not have to depend on people. And I was like, you know, see how like the not having to depend on people is like, you know, which is, it's good to be independent, but it's also like good to lean in when people really want to help, right? And so I felt like he really was like, you know, like where he's like, you should, you know, this is what you're doing, you know? And it's really interesting to kind of like see it in that like space, right? Where you're just kind of like, whoa, like, you know, every Friday we were producing in like our garage, and so it was our production night, and everyone worked, so everyone in the family, so it's like my mom, him, like me, all my siblings, and we like cut threads or like the most simple things, right? Bag them, put a bag over them, tie them, and then we would go and sell them and stuff. And you know, for me, like it was one of those things where it's like I feel like when I started making things, especially like totes, I feel like totes were one of the first things that I started making, mainly because I was like, I kind of felt like when I was creating clothes that it was like I wasn't reading the pattern, and then I was choosing all the wrong fabrics, and then I was like disappointed. And so I feel like obviously I wasn't at that skill level yet.
Right.
And so I needed to get confident, you know, with the machine first and fabrics, and then jump into that, right? Yeah. And so I started making like totes 2 a day. If I was gonna work somewhere, I had to come home and like hustle for myself too. So I started making 2 every day, and I really I felt like for me, like it was one of those things where it's like, since I was raised in that environment of like, all right, we're making it, now we're going to go sell it. Like, I feel like the enjoyable part for me is like, you're making it and you had this vision and you executed it, and it's exactly like that vision that you wanted, right, or maybe even better. Yeah. And so then you're like, I'm a genius, you know, and you're just like, what? It's true, I'm cool, only right now. And then, you know, that you're just like, wow, you're that bitch.
I'm a god.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You're high-fiving yourself. You're like, is that a clap?
It's the awkwardest clap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job.
Sound effects.
Exactly. Right there.
Right there.
And so it's like, I feel like I almost like enjoy creating it. And then I'm also like, I don't have an attachment to the things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just kind of like, it's meant to go, you know, which is really interesting because I'm not going to call myself a hoarder. I know Manny wants that from me, but he's like, she is. He's going to put his little voiceover. Just for the record, Claudia is. Check
disclaimer.
Out her stash. And he pans into my stash. I'm like, how dare you?
It's in like a little box, like right here. Just like, look at all this crap.
I know. Look at all this shit. It's not even crap. It's shit. And I'm like, what? But, you know, like, I feel like I have like a more difficult time getting rid of that stuff than the stuff that I create, you know? And so then it becomes one of those things where it's like, it's psychologically interesting.
Yeah.
You're like, why that stuff?
Yeah.
Not the other stuff. You know? So, yeah.
That's deep. Because it's almost like you're, like the potential of it.
Yeah.
I'm not ready, like, I'm going to do something with it, but it's like, because I got like a closet filled with fabrics, and I'm like, part of me is a little scared to get started because it's like, oh no, it's not time yet. Oh no, it's not time yet. Like I gotta wait till this or wait till that. But it's almost like best just to like, I realize just to jump in. Yeah. But like we were saying with the clothes, it's like a living, breathing thing. So it's time to give it to the world. It's gonna do what it's gonna do. It's gonna give someone else joy. And yeah, I can't hold that for myself.
Exactly.
Type of thing. Because you're like, hey, you know what's funny? Like, we hold on to it, but we barely wear it.
Yes.
And like, I'm gonna just go out in sweatpants and a
and a shirt. And you're like, yeah, you like it, but it's gonna stay in the closet, you know. And you're like, that's not a good place for it.
All alone. Yeah.
It's like, wear me, please wear me today. Is tonight the night?
Tonight? Nah.
Going back to the same shirt I've been wearing for the last 2 weeks.
Non-stop.
I know. You're like, the holy one? Yes, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, the one with all the holes.
The holes in it. Yep.
Yeah. Which is
so a brand new creation. I'm sorry.
People will compliment you on me.
I promise.
I know.
You should have sold me.
Sell me.
Sell me, please. I'm leaving.
I know. I'm gonna disintegrate.
I'm tired of living.
Which is so interesting because I started like, we did a purge in the studio.
Really?
And I know it doesn't look like it.
I was like, wait, that looks like...
I know, you're like, it looks like you got more shit in there. It was in the beginning of the year. Last year, towards like the new year, we were like, we have to there's a lot of stuff. We have to get rid of a lot of stuff. Yeah. We actually did. We got rid of a lot of stuff, which was really good. Yeah, you know? Yeah. But I started kind of like thinking about it like this, like, you know how when you buy like fruit and you're like, you're like so proud of yourself. You're like, look at all this fruit I brought. I'm healthy.
Straight up.
You know, you're like, all this fruit, and you're just like, my skin's gonna look great.
Mangoes.
And this is all the snack, you know?
I'm committed.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, the fruit rots. Because then you're like, I'll eat it on Wednesday. Yep. I don't want to eat it now. I want to like expand its life. And then you're like, no. And it starts to rot. Yeah. And so I started thinking about it like that. Like, if you want the strawberries, you got to eat them now.
You got to eat them now.
Because they're going to go bad. And so it's like, and I started doing it with fabric too, where I'm like, man, I really love this fabric. And like, let me just keep saving it. And then I'm like, no, because it's going to be there for a long time. Yeah. And I got to use it, you know.
It's got to go.
It's got to go. We got to like make stuff with it, or else it's just going to sit there. Yeah. And no one's going to want to like, you know. And it just, in being stagnant, right? Like having it just there, and you're like, no, it's got to keep going. Yeah. And so it's like, if it keeps moving, it's like, it creates that like revolving door, right? Where it's like, there's more coming in, there's more going out. And it feels nice, as opposed to like, you know.
Holding on to it for dear life. Yeah. Because then that's when you start, that's when you start getting mountains of stuff. I realized, let me tell you, I realized that the hard way when I went to at the Goodwill bins in San Ysidro. Yeah. When stuff was so cheap, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta get this now, or it's gonna go away forever. And then sitting with like 20 pairs of jeans, and I don't know what to do with them. It's like, dude, I can't. This is not. Yeah. It's not sustainable. Yeah. It's not sustainable. It's not.
And chasing that like deal.
Oh my god! Instead of like, let me tell you.
You know. It's like my mom. You know, she's like, the whole yard sale's only $200. Sold. And I'm like, you don't need any of this stuff. And she's like, it was a good deal. And you're like, you just
it could be like worth something.
Wasted $200, you know. And she's bought stuff that has been worth a good amount, you know. But at the same time, I'm like, you don't have the space for it. And like, and I see like fabric as that, right? Where it's like, keep it like revolving, like keep it moving, because or else it's just gonna stay there. And then, you know, it's for some time we were kind of like, we need to get rid of all this fabric, because we had a lot that we weren't gonna use, you know, because we get so much donated. And like we were like, hey, if anyone needs free fabric, come and get it, you know. And like people would come, but they wouldn't take all of it. And then you're like, oh my god. And then it's like, where is like a good place to drop it off that they could sell it or do whatever,
they want.
It's just kind of hard, you know. But
and
not wanting to be the same problem.
Yeah, exactly. Because you can't take it to, you know, those. Because they're gonna just throw it away. I always thought like maybe fashion schools might take some stuff, you know, but it's tough. It's a tough problem, because I feel like we have like a consumption problem. Like we always feel like, oh, I need this, I need that, and you look back and it's like, man, I still got like, I used to be like a sneakerhead too, so I had like over 30 pairs of shoes, like way too many. I would never wear them, and it's just like, dude, like, why do I need all these shoes? And if I'm not gonna wear them, like, what are they? If I'm not gonna use them, like, I'm just gonna sit and look at them like a trophy, you know? Like, it's just weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, but I think it's like when you, I watched a film on like minimalism.
Yeah.
And like how freeing it is to just start letting go of stuff, and like, I don't need all this, you know? It's less to think about, you know, I can just be more present. And you can't take it with you anywhere too, so.
For sure.
Might as well give it to someone who can use it.
For sure. I read something about like you could measure people's stress levels by the amount of stuff that they have.
Yo.
And I'm like, I have a lot of shit.
You just hit my soul with that one.
I'm like, what?
I have a lot.
I have a lot of shit, you know? So then you're like, but I don't know. I feel like there was like a point where I did really feel that like anxiety and like stress were, and I still feel it. This is a hot take.
Okay.
I still feel that they are very motivating things in your life. where it's like, obviously if you have a shit ton of stress where you're like, oh fuck, and like, then it's like, it's probably not going to be good for your health. But I feel like like normal amounts of like stress and anxiety are good like motivators for your life, because it's like if you're not anxious about like where you're fucking, how you're gonna pay your rent or how are you gonna take care of your shit, like it's not gonna motivate you to get it up and basically be like, what are we doing next?
Absolutely.
How are we gonna do this, because fucking it's approaching, right?
First of the month.
And so and for us it's like, we talk about that kind of stuff all the time, because you're like, oh shit, like the fucking the third is on this day, and you're like, and so it's like there is like that feeling of like, come on, you gotta, because do you feel that it is difficult like being a creative in San Diego?
Man, that's so crazy you just asked that, because I was thinking about it the other day. It's like part of it is difficult, but I love the way that you spun it, because it's also a motivator to not half-ass it. You got to kind of just go all out or nothing, because it's two things that are promised. The rent's going to go up. Well, I had another thing what was the other thing that goes up? Maybe taxes. Maybe I'll put that in there. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, people are... Oh, it was that, and like the neighborhood's changing.
For sure. Big
time. And you got to stake your claim while you still have the time, because everything's changing, unfortunately. So
for sure,
part of it is difficult, but at the same time, you can use it as a motivator to like really think about this, and if you're serious, because if not, you're gonna have to consider moving or figure out something else.
For sure.
Yeah. And I don't know if like maybe like LA has the same kind of feeling, because I mean it's just so vast and there's so much going on. But I feel like with San Diego being so niche, you really gotta go hard and stake your claim.
Yeah.
This rent's going up, neighborhoods are changing. So,
yeah.
And
so I was talking to my brother. He does like finance stuff and all that kind of stuff. He does like taxes and things like that. And so he was like, I'm like, oh, we were talking about like inflation and things like that. And he's like, well, every year everything goes up. Your rent goes up. He's like, but the reality is that you also should be going up, right? Yeah. Where it's like, and I felt like that was really one of the reasons why I wanted to have or start like a business, is because it's like, for me, like I was like, well, I could really make as much money as I wanted to, right? If you really like applied yourself, and you don't have to have like a salary, a set salary, and that's everything that you're making. Like it's like you could really basically be like, hey, we could really show that growth, right?
Right.
And so it was like really interesting to kind of, where he was like, because I was like, oh, rent and like this and that, and he's like, well, you also should be leveling up every single year to do those kind of things, and I was like, I'm like, you're right, like you should, and so, which is really difficult if you are just like, having like a very like standard like salary or anything like that, because then you're like, oh shit, how do you make extra income? You know what I mean? So it's like they're difficult, like things, but
it's kind of like it's kind of the reality we face, and that was deep, because if it's just like constant pressure, but that pressure can make diamonds at the same time.
For sure.
And I think it doesn't allow us to be like stagnant. Like you almost gotta keep going,
Yeah. And like basically, like, because we've always talked to me and Manny, and I'm always like, dude, I'm like, he's like, we make our own opportunities. You have to make your own opportunities, because no one's gonna be there to like basically be like, or if you wait for someone, right, to basically be like, here's an opportunity, and you're like, it's been 2 years, and so then it's hard, so it's like really like creating like those opportunities for yourself and not having to like wait for people to do that for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So. It's a whole change in your mindset. You know, I think it's shedding what you were taught, because you're almost taught to follow this linear path and you're gonna live the American dream. But you know, the universe and how life works, everything's changing all the time, and you have to pivot. But when you bet on yourself, it's like unlimited possibilities. But it's so easy to say. But I know it took like a leap of faith to say like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm going to not work a job and I'm going to commit to this. Like, what was like your jumping off point?
I feel like when I met Manny, he was like, I'm going to move to San Diego. You should come with me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no. Because I've always been like so family oriented. So I really didn't ever see myself like moving away or like, I really envisioned myself like most of my sisters have kids, and I envisioned myself like being around to like see them grow up, and I don't you know, I don't see them as often, you know, so it's like it does, you know, bum you out where you're like, oh man, like that was like something that like I did want to do, you know. But I feel like it's a good sacrifice, you know, where it's like, okay, right now this is like where I'm at, but it's like there will be a time where it's like it'll be like I could reap the benefits of like what I've like put in, you know?
Right.
And so I feel like it was one of those things where it's like when I moved down here, Manny was like, you should focus on like the thing that you want to do. And I was like, okay, obviously no distractions.
Yeah.
You know, I have no distractions. And so it was really nice to basically not have to, you know, worry about like people, hey, you want to do this? Hey, you want to do that? And so it was like, for me, I was like, let's just do I wanted to do these things, and I just focused on it. And I really just wanted to, you know, see like what I could do. And like, you know, I never imagined this. And, you know, I truly wanted to like figure out how to be successful without having, like, I didn't go to college, you know? So then it's like, okay, so if I didn't do that, like, how can I still be successful, you know? And I really thought that if I opened up a business that I could be successful, you know.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's hard, you know, but it is one of those things where you could grow it, you know. And it does feel like a kid where you're like, wow, look at it. If you're investing in yourself and you truly have to show up for yourself, then you'll be good. But it's like, you know yourself, you know how much time you're gonna give into it, all that stuff. So it's like, if you're not doing that, like, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. And what are you doing?
Exactly.
You know, it's only because what's the trade-off? Like trading your time for money to work for someone else it's the biggest scam in the world.
Exactly.
It really is. It really is. But like at certain times, like that's kind of where I'm at. Like I would still work a job, but at first I couldn't tolerate it. So at one point in my life, I quit to pursue something else, and when that failed, I went back. But I feel like I got a renewed, I guess, appreciation for it.
I love it.
Because it's like, all right, it's necessary to allow me to do these awesome things.
For sure.
But it's not like my end all be all.
For sure.
Yeah, it's like I don't feel stuck or trapped.
I love it.
You know?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Use it to like, you know, fuel that other side, which is good.
Exactly. Yeah. And just like marking out my day, what I have time to do, like prioritizing certain things. But
I love that.
Yeah. But then when that day comes, you could, I can't wait.
I love it. Hey, thanks for coming.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This is awesome. This is awesome.
Woohoo!
I forgot the cameras were on.
Yeah, I know. There's no cameras.
There's no camera. What are you talking about? What are you talking? We're just talking.
Yeah, we're just talking. Hey, thank you.
No,
seriously.
Thank you, man.
Yay!
Wow. That was awesome. Holy crap. When you started asking questions, I was like, wait, are we going now? I didn't even know.